Welcome to the GSL Up and Down matches. I am Wolf, with me is Kaldor. This is the WCS, and we're going to find out who's going up to Code S, who's going down to Code A.
Exactly. Today we have a 5-player group, and we have the first day of the Up and Downs. We have 6 days in total, 3 days this week and 3 days next week. Trying to find out who goes to the next Code S season, who will play in the next WCS Premier League.
Yeah, that's what we're going to find out, and of course only 2 players from each of these groups will be going up. This particular WCS season we have only 5-player groups, no 6-player groups. So every single group will have a maximum of 10 games played, barring tiebreakers. So just to keep that in mind, it's going to be whoever has the highest points at the end of the 10 matches who gets out.
Exactly. All of the games are going to be best of one, so the players have, of course, known for quite a while now who is in their group and could prepare for the maps, and also the players themselves. It's going to be really interesting. We have such a stacked lineup this time in the Up and Downs. So many players were not able to go through to Code S right away, and especially in Code A we had a lot of surprises. So now we have players like DongRaeGu and Linok in today's groups, players that a season ago everyone would have called us insane if we would have mentioned that they are going to go through the Up and Downs instead of being in Code S right away.
Exactly. You know, there are a lot of upsets in Code A this season, and also there's a lot of newcomers coming into the scene, a lot of strong and up-and-coming players in Heart of the Storm. This is our first Up and Downs for Heart of the Storm. We've got players like Ruin, who really proved himself back in the preseason for GSTL and has been looking pretty good for LGIM since then. Yeah,
exactly. A player that has shown a lot of promise so far. We haven't seen him too much in the GSTL just yet, and he's definitely a player that needs a little bit more limelight to just show us exactly what he can do. But he's one of those guys who has a lot of skill and who could be a major contender at some point. And of course, never forget about players like Avenge that have already shown in the GSTL and in Code A that they're really strong these days. He was nearly able to get past Flash, but he will of course have to fight through the Up and Downs this time as well. Yeah. And we're having a quick look now at the race distribution.
Yeah, it's relatively Zerg heavy at 9 Zergs to 5 Terrans. Frost a little bit in the middle there at 6, but you know, it's not a huge disparity. We've seen much bigger disparities in the past. I think one time we had 12 Terrans or so in the Up and Down. So we've got in total here, as you can see, 20 players.
Yep, 20 players in total. And here we have the Up and Down race distribution. Very, very even, as you can see. 10 Terran players, 11 Protoss, and 9 Zergs. Yep. Not quite sure who Troy is. It's probably the brother of True.
Yeah, I'm sure. You can see, I mean, just so many good players. I mean, look at all the lineups here for all 3 races.
You know who I'm really excited for, and it's a little bit weird to say that, I feel? I'm excited to see Killer, aka Sverga, play. Usually we just looked at Killer and he had so many weaknesses, especially in Protoss vs. Protoss back in 2012. But in the last few games that we observed, especially against Linok, he looked so strong, and I could actually see him get out of there. It would be really interesting, at least, to have him in Code S. But of course, with such a stacked lineup as you can see here, it's not going to be easy.
Yep. And, you know, hopefully some of you guys took a screenshot of the list that we had before just to keep it in your mind how awesome the matches are.
Yeah, if you want to check that out again, go to GOMTV.net and look it up in the forum. All the players and the groups are listed there. Here you can see today's matches with DongRaeGu, with Bunny, Maru, Ruin, and Linok.
Yep. Bunny's somebody who's relatively unknown. Did play, I think, for CJ Indus and Starcraft 1 as well. Ended up retiring. This is what everybody believed he was not going to return to competitive play, but ended up playing Starcraft 2, and he's got an opportunity to go right to the Premier League here.
You know, Bunny actually defeated last in the first round of Code A, a former Code S player, and then in the second round he fell at the hands of Ragnarok, and he defeated every single Terran that he was facing, not only in his Code A qualifier bracket, but then also in his Code A run. Took down Sound with a 2-0, Bunny with a 2-0, and Gumiho with a 2-0. So that was more than only impressive. Like, Ragnarok is he's the Terran killer. I would like to see him go up against Innovation.
that would be quite good to see.
Innovation looks unbeatable these days, especially his record against Zerg is of course unchallenged.
It's insane.
But the same is true for Ragnarok, but I doubt that he's on that level just yet.
Yeah, certainly so. I'd love to see that battle. DongRaeGu definitely the favorite in this best of one. He's got so much more experience than Bunny does in this booth, and he is the final boss of MVP. I think a lot of people are expecting him to very easily take this first match.
Well, on the other hand, he was struggling a little bit in a lot of his games that we saw at the GSTL, so we will see if this style caters a little bit more towards his strengths. Bunny, of course, a player that doesn't have this much Starcraft 2 exposure as DongRaeGu himself, but still, he could cause an upset here.
Yeah, definitely could.
Oh, we're jumping into the first game of the day right now here at the GSL the up and down matches. Who's going to advance to Quad S today? Gonna find out right now. Game number 1, Bunny versus DRG, brought to you by Colorful. And starting to the top left, we have our Zerg player starting for Team MVP, 21 years old.
MVP DongRaeGu.
Otherwise known as DRG.
DRG up against the Terran player in game number 1 here at the up and downs. Starting to the top right, in blue, the CJ Entus player.
CJ Entus Bunny.
Not a hare or a rabbit.
Yeah.
His ears are hidden in this shot.
You know, it would be so amazing if he actually had one of those bunny ear thingies.
That would have been really clever. Like, he's got a special headset with that.
Yeah, it was just a lotto word like a few weeks ago. I could have bought him one.
Yeah, that would have been great.
I didn't really know that he needs them. If I would have known that we have him here in Code A, I would probably have bought one and just handed him to him before the game. Would be like, don't you think it would be a cool idea?
You know, just bring Carrot 2 along, might as well.
Yeah, bring along a Carrot. That would, of course, also be quite the trick. But, well, let's see if Bunny can surprise us and take down DRG. The Zerg player going for an early hatch, of course, going for the 15 hatch here. No surprise against the Terran opponent. Yeah,
and a little bit of a weird build coming out from Bunny. Most people would go Command Center first on this map since it's 4-player and it's a pretty big map, but he's going gasless. It's just a 1 barracks expanse, so he's going to have a very delayed Command Center. He's not going to have any Reaper scouting. And this is going to be, of course, great for DRG when he sees it.
And by the way, a quick shout out here to MLG. We have the UI that they are using for their stream, so it's a new UI that we have here today. So a quick shout out to Sundance, Adam, and all the others working at MLG.
Yeah, a lot of great production staff over there at MLG. Had the pleasure to work with them several times. And as you can see here, Overlord is denied, but he's already seen what he wants to see. He knows he's not dealing with any sort of aggressive pressure. He knows that the Command Center timing means that there's no gas either.
Exactly. And let's talk a little bit about DRG and his way into this up and down series. He played in Code S last season, but he did not get over the round of 32. He lost in his group. He was in one group with Yoda, Flying, and MC. And DRG only took 1 map. He lost with a 2-0 against Yoda and then was defeated by Flying in his second match. Then he dropped down right into Code A, where he played his first match against Supernova in the second round of Code A, and he lost there right away. Didn't even take a map against the Terran player. Therefore, he finds himself now in the up and downs. It's not really a successful run that we saw from DRG in this first season of Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that you really have to keep in mind. This is the first time that the players have to show themselves in Heart of the Swarm, and so far, DongRaeGu not with the best record.
It's certainly so. He's really got a tough group ahead of him too. It's not the easiest up and down group, especially with Leenock being in here as well. DRG really desperately wants to see that 3rd Command Center, which is Bunny's choice here. When you go for a 1 barracks expand, usually you have to drop the 3rd Command Center like this before gases if you want to keep even with the Zerg who goes hatch first.
Yeah, most Terran players really playing greedy with this, trying to just get this 3rd Command Center out as fast as possible. And it's always about the scouting information for the Terran and how you set up your defense if your opponent goes for a push. There are a lot of strong timings with Banelings, Zerglings, with Roaches that a Zerg can use. We've seen Ragnarok use a style where he gets drop on lair and immediately starts dropping his opponent. That's something that Symbol tried to do against Innovation, but the Terran player was ready and defeated him. But this is always something that you have to keep in mind. So Terrans need to be a little bit careful there. Most of them trying to get away with the 3rd Command Center.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
And DRG did go for gas. A little bit delayed. Or not delayed, but obviously he's not going to have more gas coming out very soon since he pulled out. And looks like he's just going to take that 3rd hatchery instead. Very safe. He's scouted very carefully here, and he knows exactly what's going on. He doesn't yet know about the 3rd Command Center, but if it were going to be faster Hellions, he would have already seen the Hellions moving out with his Overlord, so he can safely assume that this is what's going on, just delayed gas here.
Yeah. For DRG, everything goes well so far. His strategy there is just to drone up as much as he can, and currently Bunny allows him to get a lot of Harvesters. There are only a few Zerglings on the map right now, and DongRaeGu, with speed already finished, can always react as soon as he sees Hellions moving out. Just build the Zerglings. Building 8 now preemptively, just to be on the safe side here in case there's something coming his way. But you can see him now taking this 3rd base, still joining up behind it, getting the extra gas, whereas Bunny is going into double engineering bay for his upgrades.
Yep, double engineering bay, and starts those upgrades immediately when the ebays are done. So he's getting those out very, very quickly. And, you know, he's played a very risky build here, but DRG is not doing a build to punish him for it. So he's actually going to get away with those upgrades and everything else. But with DRG's third hatchery up and running as well, he should be able to catch up with those upgrades fairly soon.
This is basically the battle of greed that we are seeing. Bunny not even getting a single Widow Mine nor a Siege Tank, so any kind of early game pressure would have been really strong against him. But as we can see right now, he's heading into very fast upgrades. And DongRaeGu is just now getting those 2 evolution chambers of his. He has now a lot of gas though. In total, we see him on 4 gas in just a few seconds when this last extractor is going to finish. And this will allow him to start his tech right away.
Yeah.
He already has the gas there. He's just lacking on the mineral department a little bit.
It looks like he'll start 1-1 before he gets the lair. Knows the target here on the larva. He wants to force those larvae to be used instantly there, and he does. And the E-Base, or the evolution chamber's done there. Goes the upgrades. A little bit delayed there. And we'll start his lair very soon.
Yeah, a very, very just passive early game that we see here. But now the chance for Bunny to maybe even sneak past his opponent's queens. Doesn't take it though, doesn't want to sacrifice those Hellions. They are his map presence now. They really just try to keep the creep at bay, make sure that the Zerg player cannot creep forward too much. And always, of course, good to sneak into the third base and do a little bit of damage there.
Yeah. He, you know, scanned ahead, he saw there was a wall, and he's like, I'll go to the third base instead. He's not going to be able to stick around all too much longer because his Hellions are starting to lose a lot of their hit points.
And Bunny is actually forgetting his armory here. His +1/+1 is about to be completed, and I don't think he got the armory just yet.
You're right.
So at this point, he will struggle a bit with going into double upgrades +2/+2 immediately, and this gives DRG the time to catch up on the upgrades.
Yeah, this is very critical because a Terran who gets the 3-3 cycle before a Zerg who has 3-3 can be devastating in the mid-game when those pushes start to come across the map, especially at these spawning locations.
And when you have the medivac support, this 3-3 is just worth so much more than the Zerg players because you have the extra healing power of the medivacs. And now we have the Baneling nest just coming in. DRG really meticulous about his creep spread as well. We're not talking about a Scarlet creep spread here, but still, this is really good what he's currently doing. And now Bunny realizing his timing mistake, going for the armory after he finished +1/+1. So what he tried to do here is just start the second wave of upgrades and then realizing, whoa, wait a second, I forgot my armory. Maybe he tried to build it and hit the wrong hotkey, or he just didn't have enough resources. But as it is, he has to wait quite a while until he can start the next set.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, already the catch-up is basically complete here for DRG upgrade-wise, and he has the Spire on the way. Gets Burrow as well. That's a great upgrade. We've basically seen almost every single Zerg getting that upgrade in this matchup nowadays. It's something you can easily afford, and it's just so useful to save your drones. Burrow's willingness to harass. So many different things you can do with that. Baneling traps.
You know what I find really interesting is that we only have 4 Widow Mines so far. So currently it looks like Bunny is going for this. Oh, wait a second, hold your breath. We have a few Hellions being chased down by the Zerglings on creep, and with speed not a problem for those fast runners.
Yeah, exactly. Able to trap those instantly there. Very few losses for DRG, and Bunny now loses his map presence. Yeah. And DRG's map dominance is now just complete. He's basically got all the creep out there, and since he's cleaned up those Hellions, just going to be able to keep pushing it further and further, not only towards Bunny's base, but also towards his 4th base.
I love the one Viking that we have for Bunny to take down Overlords, and DRG helps him a bit by positioning all of his Overlords to the top right of his main base.
Oh! That Widow Mine got 12 kills.
The Widow Mine shot going off there, while the Viking is still working at those few Overlords, and the Immortalists, they are not out there just yet.
Yeah, you know what's really interesting is, like you said, he cut the Widow Mines out so much. Now he's building them. I thought for a moment we might see Siege Tanks come out.
He already had 4 of them, but he really was very passive on the Widow Mines. And this also helps those Zerglings out going into the fight. But we don't have enough Banelings, only 1, and that's not going to be enough. But oh, taking down quite a few.
Yeah, a good Baneling hit there at the last second. But Widow Mines did trade well against the Zerglings. He's denying some mine time here in the main base.
DRG completely missed the medivac at the top of the map. He saw it coming, the Overlord saw it, but he didn't realize it on the minimap, and now he's losing his spawning pool. He doesn't build one. He needs to get another spawning pool, and there it is on the production tab, but the Marines are still doing a fair amount of damage at the 3rd base.
He's lost so much here. I mean, that was a great trade against the Zerglings to the south as well, and finally the Immortalists will clean this up. But what a great trade for Bunny here, and he's not done just yet. He's actually going to try to knock this hatchery down.
DRG is falling apart a little bit. I'm wondering what happened to his multitasking here.
Yeah.
This is a strong attack by Bunny, but it's not something that you shouldn't be used to when you're playing against good Terran players on a regular basis.
Exactly. You know, he intentionally sacrifices that medevac here just to distract against this hatchery. Kills the hatch, gets into a good position here in the middle of the map.
And DongRaeGu just doesn't have the right... He doesn't have an answer to this, as it seems like.
Yeah.
He still has a lot of minerals floating there, but the problem for him really being that the Terran player is dominating the match.
He just doesn't have... part of the problem for him is he didn't have Baneling speed just yet, so his Banelings are always slow, and that allowed Bunny a lot of time to maneuver, but he's going to lose some SCVs here.
And this is exactly the timing that DongRaeGu needed. There are no missile turrets at the third base. Can do a lot of damage here, and Bunny doesn't realize what's happening. He's losing so many harvesters.
Yeah, he's losing a ton. He was so focused on his drop play that he didn't actually realize.
And now Bunny's struggling also a little bit with his multitasking. Can't secure his drop while he's defending against the Mutalisks. And DongRaeGu just trying to bring the pain. Killed a lot of SCVs there, but Bunny still has 63 and is going into the triple SCV production once again.
Yeah, triple SCV production going down. DongRaeGu starting to add more and more Overseers here as he realizes that the Widow Mines are starting to become a bit of a threat for him. One thing we don't see just yet is the research for the Widow Mines. That's what that second factory is going to help out with. A lot of Widow Mines stacked up here, taking out that Queen.
DongRaeGu is taking his bases again. He really tries to get a bit of a lead in the economy. In overall supply, they are still very even, but the Terran player now adding those very important +3/+3 upgrades, and you can see how the Widow Mines are really changing the balance of the game.
They certainly are. I mean, he's didn't bring an Overseer with his army now twice in a row.
He doesn't see it. Once again, he doesn't see the drop at the top, and there's another drop headed toward his third base. Bunny is going for exactly the same attack that initiated his aggression earlier, and now he's doing a lot of damage in the main base, taking down one of the queens, killing a few drones. The drop at the third is going to be arriving in just a few seconds.
Those extractors are dead, and he's just doing a critical amount of damage here, continuing the push, but DongRaeGu does have a run-by at his third.
The run-bys are doing a lot of damage here. Bunny really struggling to wall off completely. His defense is lacking a little bit. It's like he just wants to attack himself as much as possible.
Oh, he's got a trap there. He detonates, but detonation was decent.
That was cool. 32 harvesters killed.
Yeah, it's like Bunny's whole idea here is the best offense, or the best defense is a good offense. He needs a split here. Oh.
What I like about Bunny is that he's actually adding a Thor to his composition now that he realizes that he's up against a significant amount of Mutalisks. He doesn't only rely on the Widow Mines, but thinks that with the Thor, he can zone them out a little bit better. Reminds me of the old days where we had siege tanks instead of Widow Mines.
Exactly, and he skipped a lot of turrets, and instead of just trying to add those turrets later on, he's like, nah, I'm just going to skip those and make these instead.
Really interesting and back and forth game here, with DongRaeGu still having the better bank, but he is under so much pressure and he only has 3 bases. Bunny is on 3 on his own, but still, now +3/+3 is soon about to be done, and we have also the Drilling Claws upgrade being researched here, and once those 3 upgrades are ready, DongRaeGu will be in quite a lot of trouble.
Yeah, so much trouble. He has 1 macro hatchery, but he's still struggling to produce. The Mutants coming here a little bit late, and great splits here by Bunny. Excellent. He's going to catch these before they're ready.
Yeah, and he's going to take them out. No chance for the Banelings to get ready in time. The few that do are immediately being taken out, but here are once again the Mutalisks that do so much damage to Bunny. Can the Thor change it? I think only if he has enough SCVs to repair it.
Oh, he loses his spawning pool here, and everything that spawns is going to die. He's got his production facilities camped right now.
DongRaeGu going for a bit of a base race, but the problem is that the DPS for the Terran player is just gigantic.
Oh, no,
and look at the nade!
Oh no, GG!
Bunny takes the game, and this is exactly what we were talking about earlier. A player that we haven't seen too much. He can certainly cause an upset here. And DongRaeGu just not on the same level in Heart of the Swarm than he was in Wings of Liberty.
Just very aggressive style we saw from Bunny. Very reminiscent of Marine King style in the old days. Just constantly attacking, never really having turrets up or a ton of defense at home. Just keeping your opponent on his toes always. And that was exactly the spawning locations for that type of style.
DongRaeGu fell apart against the drop player of his opponent, especially the first wave that Bunny started with the drop in the main and at the third while moving into onto the creep with another set of units. That broke DongRaeGu's neck already, and I'm actually a little bit disappointed here by his multitasking. He saw that drop.
Yeah, he saw the drop coming, and he was so focused on something else, maybe his creep spread or something else entirely.
I just feel that his map awareness is not what it once was.
Yeah, I agree.
He really struggled with this, and the drop play could have really been shut down, especially the one in the main base, by just sending a few units over there earlier on. And I personally actually thought that he would send the Mutalisks there. Yeah. I thought he would rally the Mutalisks towards the drop once that he saw it, because there was already Viking dealing with his overlords, and then he could have taken out the drop right away. But he lost his spawning pool, he lost his ability to get Zerglings for quite a significant amount of time, and that allowed Bunny to build up momentum.
And speaking of those overlords in the Viking, he had way too many overlords up there. One, maybe 2 will do it, but if you've got 4 or 5 up there and the Viking kills all your overlords, that's 500 more minerals you're going to have to spend. You might get supply blocked, and that really affected them in the game as well.
So DRG losing in his first game, and every map counts, of course. Bunny taking a bit of a lead here, and he defeated Last in the first round of Code A, and Last being a former Code S player himself, definitely something where we can see that Bunny is not simply a pushover, might be a player that gets less exposure than the other players that we have in the group, but still, he's someone that you have to be cautious about, and that's exactly what the other players have to realize now heading into their first matches, especially, of course, Ruin against Maru. It's going to be our next game. They were certainly watching what was happening to DRG there.
Yeah, right now Lenog is probably looking at this, and he's like, well, I'm going to have to play the same matchup against him a little bit later on. Let's see how he attacks his different type of style.
And also the opening. I mean, Bunny was so greedy in this game. So was DRG. Both of them really not going for any early aggression. But Bunny completely refused to get any... He didn't get any Widow Mines. He didn't get anything that was good against Roaches. And he also didn't go for Reaper opening. So he didn't have a lot of scouting information available. And if he really tries to stick to the same opening against Lenog, I feel Lenog is going to punish him for that.
Yeah, for sure. It's all about the scouting, you know. Well, going into a completely different matchup now, it's Maru versus Ruin. Maru has also been a player who has not looked as strong as he once did, and Ruin is an up-and-coming player who could try to, at the very least, put a damper on his group in game number 1.
Maru going all ghetto here, I like it. Going all Assassin Creed on us.
Yeah, I like it. He reminds me of Hongen like that, actually, a little bit with the hood. Hongen like to put the hood up in the booth sometimes.
I have to say that the Prime hoodies are actually really awesome.
They are.
I like them. They're really stylish. I should get myself one. Yeah, but here we have Ruin, and we talked a bit about Ruin in the past. He's one of the players that really showed us really great games in the preseason of the GSTL, but since then we haven't seen too much from him, but definitely a player that can do quite a lot here. He lost in the second round of Code A against Squirtle with a 2-1, but he took out Sparta in round 1 of Code A. So that's going to be an interesting match, I feel. Ruin, a player with a lot of promise, and Maru, of course, always one of the youngest players that we have in Korea here, and a very strong current player too. But the Prime players are struggling a little bit these days. And we're going to find out who's going to claim victory in the first game here at the Up and Downs Group A here at the GSL Korea Wolf.